Lesson Challenges of Nation Building Class Plus 2 CBSE. In this chapter, we will discuss the topics like challenges faced by India at the time of independence, partition of India and its consequences, integration of princely states, merger of Jammu and Kashmir, Junagadh, Manipur, Hyderabad, and the reorganization of states. The first speech of the Prime Minister of Free India, Pandit Nehru, at the hour of midnight on 14-15 August 1947 was known as the famous Traced with Destiny speech. He delivered this speech while addressing a special session of the Constituent Assembly. India was born in very difficult circumstances. Freedom came with the partition of the country. After independence, India faced three kinds of challenges. The first and the immediate challenge was to shape a nation that was united. India was a land of diversity. Its people spoke different languages and followed different cultures and religions. At that time, it was widely believed that a country full of such kind of diversity could not remain together for long. There was serious question about the future of India. Would India survive as a unified country? The second challenge was to establish democracy. The Constitution of India granted fundamental rights to its citizens. It also extended the right to vote to every citizen. India adopted representative democracy based on parliamentary form of government. These features ensured that the political competition would take place in a democratic framework. The third challenge was well-being of the entire society. India as a nation laid down in its constitution the principle of equality and special protection to socially disadvantaged groups, religions and cultural communities. The constitution set out in the directive principles of state policy the welfare goals that democratic policies must achieve. Next topic is why Pandit Nehru wanted to make India a secular state. For this, the main reason is he wanted to separate religion and politics. To make democracy successful, it is essential that democratic government should be based on secularism. He wanted to deal with the Muslim minority in a civilized manner. According to Pandit Nehru, to build a unified nation, it is essential that secularism should be adopted. There should be no official religion of the state. He also argued that we must give the Muslim minority security and the rights of citizens in a democratic state. So for this reason, Pandit Nehru wanted to keep India a secular state. Next very important topic is problems involved in the partition of India. The process of partition started in 1940 when the Muslim League propounded the two-nation theory. Various problems and difficulties were involved in the process of partition. The first main problem was the problem of religious majority. Principle of religious majority was followed for the division, that is the areas where the Muslims were in majority would make up the territory of Pakistan and rest was to stay with India. This created the feeling of communalism. Second problem was the problem of East and West. There was no single belt of Muslim majority areas in British India. Muslims were in majority mainly in two areas, that is one in the west and the other in the east. So it was decided that the new country, Pakistan, will comprise two territories, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. Third problem was merger of NWFP, North Western Frontier Province. All Muslim majority areas were not interested in joining Pakistan. For example, Khan Abdul Gaffar Khan, the undisputed leader of the northwestern frontier province, known as Frontier Gandhi, was against the two-nation theory. but ultimately NWFP was made to merge with Pakistan. Fourth one is problem of minorities. Another difficulty was the problem of minorities on both sides of border. Lakhs of Hindus and Sikhs in the areas that were now in Pakistan, an equally large number of Muslims on the Indian side of Punjab and Bengal found themselves trapped. The minorities on both sides of the border were left with no option except to leave their homes. Next main topic is consequences of the partition of India. On 14-15 August 1947, not one but two nation states came into existence, India and Pakistan. This was due to the partition of British India into India and Pakistan. Following were the consequences of the partition of India. First one, transfer of population and killing of people. The first consequence of the partition was the largest, unplanned, and tragic transfer of population that human history has known. On both sides of the border, there were large-scale killing and atrocities. In the name of religion, people of one community killed the people of other community. Minorities were forced to abandon their homes and move across borders. Even during their journey, they were often attacked, killed and looted. On both sides, thousands of women were raped, abducted and killed. In many cases, women were killed by their own family members to preserve their family honor. Many children were separated from their parents. Second one is refugee problem. Another consequence of partition of India was refugee problem. For lakhs of refugees, the country's freedom means life in refugee camps for months and sometimes for years. Refugee problem was so serious that the government of India took many years to solve it. Third one is division of hearts. Writers, poets and filmmakers in India and Pakistan have expressed the ruthlessness of the killings and sufferings of displacement and violence in their novels, short stories, poems and films. While recounting the trauma of partition, they have often used the phrase that the survivors themselves used to describe partition as a division of hearts. Fourth one is division of properties and financial assets. The partition saw not merely a division of properties, liabilities and assets, or a political division of the country and the administrative apparatus. What also got divided were the financial assets and things like table, chairs, typewriters, paperclips, books, and musical instruments of police band. The employees of government and railways were also divided. Fifth one is migration and killing of people. It is estimated that the partition forced about 80 lakh people to migrate across the new border. Between 5 to 10 lakh people were killed in the partition-related violence. Sixth one is problem of minorities. Even after the large-scale migration of Muslims to Pakistan, Muslim population in India accounted for 12% of the total population in 1951. The biggest problem before Indian government was how to deal with the Muslim minority and other religious minorities in India. Next topic is sacrifice of Mahatma Gandhi. On 15th August 1947, Mahatma Gandhi did not participate in any of the Independence Day celebrations. He was in Kolkata in the areas which were torn by gruesome riots between Hindus and Muslims. Mahatma Gandhi went on to persuade the Hindus and Muslims to give up violence. His presence in Kolkata improved the situation and the coming of independence was celebrated in a spirit of communal harmony with joyous dancing in the streets. Mahatma Gandhi's prayers, meetings attracted large crowds But this was short-lived, as riots between Hindus and Muslims erupted once again, and Gandhiji had to resort to a fast to bring peace. Mahatma Gandhi moved to Delhi, where large-scale violence had erupted. He was deeply concerned about the relations between India and Pakistan. He was unhappy with what he saw as the Indian government decision not to honor its financial commitments to Pakistan. With all this in mind, he undertook what turned out to be his last fast in January 1948. Mahatma Gandhi's actions were, however, not liked by all. Extremists in both the communities blamed him for their conditions. He was particularly disliked by those who wanted Hindus to take revenge or who wanted India to become a country for the Hindus just as Pakistan was for Muslims. They accused Mahatma Gandhi of acting in the interest of the Muslims and Pakistan. Finally, on 30th January 1948, one such extremist, Nathuram Vinayak Godse, walked up to Gandhiji during his evening prayer in Delhi and fired 3 bullets at him, killing him instantly, thus ended a lifelong struggle for truth, non-violence and tolerance. Now the next main topic is the problems involved with the integration of princely states with India. At the time of independence, it was announced that with the end of their rule over India, paramountcy of British Crown over princely states would also lapse. This meant that all these states, as many as 565 in all, would become legally independent. British government took the view that all these states were free to join India or Pakistan or remain independent if they so wished. This was a serious problem and could threaten the very existence of a united India. The problem started very soon. First of all, ruler of Travancore announced that the state had decided on independence. Nizam of Hyderabad made a similar announcement the next day. Nawab of Bhopal also made the similar announcement. This response of the rulers of the princely states meant that after independence there was very real possibility that India would be further divided into a number of small countries. This was a strange, since Indian independence was aimed at unity, self-determination as well as democracy. The interim government took a firm stand against the possible division of India. The Muslim League opposed the Indian National Congress and took the view that the state should be free to adopt any course they liked. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was known as the Iron Man of India, was the Deputy Prime Minister and the Home Minister during the integration of Indian state. He played a historical role in negotiation with the rulers of princely states and brings most of the princely states into Indian Union. It was a very complicated task which required skillful persuasion. For example, there were 26 small states in today's Odisha. Saurashtra region of Gujarat had 14 big states, 119 small states, and other different administrations. For the integration of princely states, the government's approach was guided by 3 considerations. Firstly, the people of most of the princely states clearly wanted to become part of the Indian Union. Secondly, the government was prepared to accommodate plurality and adopt a flexible approach in dealing with the demands of the regions. Thirdly, the concern towards the integration and consolidation of the territorial boundaries of the Indian nation had assumed supreme importance. However, before independence, peaceful negotiation had brought almost all states whose territories were contiguous to the new boundaries of Indian Union. The rulers of most of the states signed a document called the Instrument of Accession. But accession of the princely states of Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur had proved more difficult than the rest. Merger of Hyderabad with India. Hyderabad was the largest state. Its ruler carried the title Nizam, and he was one of the world's richest men. He wanted an independent status for Hyderabad. In the meantime, a popular movement started against Nizam's rule. It was joined by peasants in Telangana, women, the communists and the Hyderabad Congress. The Nizam responded by sending up paramilitary forces known as Razakars on the people. They murdered, raped and looted and targeting particularly the non-Muslims. The central government sent the army in September 1948 to tackle the situation. After a few days, the Nizam surrendered. This led Hyderabad's accession to India. Merger of Manipur. A few days before independence, the Maharaja of Manipur, Bodha Chandra Singh, signed the Instrument of Accession with the Government of India on the assurance that the internal autonomy of Manipur would be maintained. Under public pressure, elections were held in June 1948 and the state became a constitutional monarchy. Manipur became the first state to hold an election based on universal adult franchise. On the question of merger of Manipur with India, there were two different opinions. While the state congress wanted the merger, other political parties were opposed to this. The government of India succeeded in pressurizing the Maharaja into signing a merger agreement in September 1949 without consulting the popularly elected Legislative Assembly. Merger of Junagadh. Junagadh was a small state in Maharashtra. It was dominated by Hindu population, but its ruler was Muslim. The Nawab of Junagadh acceded to Pakistan. Indian government opposed the merger with Pakistan, so Indian army moved in Junagadh and held a plebiscite. About 90% people favored the merger with India. Hence, the Junagadh accession to Pakistan was nullified and Junagadh merged with India. Next one is merger of Kashmir. Kashmir was ruled by a Hindu ruler Hari Singh, who did not want to merge with India and tried to negotiate with India and Pakistan to recognize Kashmir as an independent state. Pakistan claimed Kashmir based on Muslim majority state and sent tribal infiltrators to capture Kashmir in October 1947. This forced the Maharaja to seek help from India. But the process of nation building did not come to an end with the partition and integration of princely states. Now the challenge was to draw the internal boundaries of the Indian states. This was not just a matter of administrative divisions. The boundaries had to be drawn in a way so that the linguistic and cultural plurality of the country could be reflected without affecting the unity of the nation. After independence and partition, our leaders felt that carving out states on the basis of language might lead to disruption and disintegration. It was also felt that this would draw attention away from other social and economic challenges that country faced. The central leadership decided to postpone matters. The need for postponement was also felt because the fate of the princely states had not been decided. Also, the memory of partition was still fresh. This decision of the national leadership was challenged by the local leaders and the people. Protests began in Telgu-speaking areas of the old Madras Province, which included present-day Tamil Nadu, parts of Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Karnataka. The Vishal Andhra movement demanded that the Telgu-speaking areas should be separated from the Madras Province. As a result of it, the separate Andhra state was formed in December 1952. So, it was because of the efforts of Poti Siraramulla, a Congress leader and veterans Gandhian from Madras, who advocated equality in the society and demanded entry of Dalits in the temples of Madras. He went on an indefinite fast for a separate state of Andhra Pradesh that led to his death after 56 days. Finally, the Prime Minister announced the formation of a separate Andhra state in December 1952. The formation of Andhra Pradesh spurred the struggle for making of other states on linguistic lines in other parts of the country. These struggles forced the central government into appointing a state reorganization commission in 1953 under the chairmanship of Justice Faisal Ali to look into the question of redrawing of the boundaries of the states. Shri K. M. Panikkar and Shri Hridaynath were the two other members of the commission. The commission submitted its report on September 30, 1955, and the government accepted all the recommendations of the commission. The commission in its report accepted that the boundaries of the state should reflect the boundaries of the different languages. On the basis of its report, the State Reorganization Act was passed in 1956, which led to the creation of 14 states and 6 union territories. It recommended the formation of linguistic states, that is, linguistic reorganization. The acceptance of the principle of linguistic states did not mean, however, that all the states immediately became linguistic states. Bombay state experimented bilingual division of state. Bombay consisted of Gujarati and Marathi speaking people. After popular agitation, the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat were created in 1960. The story of reorganization has not come to an end. There are many regions in the country where there were movements demanding separate and smaller states. As we know that, due to these demands, Telangana was created from Andhra Pradesh in June 2014. Now there is a demand for the creation of Vidarbha in Maharashtra.